Qumran Peace and noon times. All right, this is the Book of Enoch, chapter 59 and 72, interpreted by Songwriting Reason and Jude non-canonical, noon Ethiopian year 62, Nupu Menti in 98. This was written, started writing 12/25/2024. Mercury day, 12 degrees Sagittarius, 45 minutes and 17 seconds. Second deacon, Enoch, chapter 59. In those days, mine eyes saw the secret of the lightnings and of the lights and the judgments they execute, and they lighten for a blessing or a curse as the Lord of spirits willeth. And there I saw the secrets of the thunder, and how when it resounds above in the heaven, the sound thereof is heard, and he caused me to see the judgments executed on the earth, whether they be for well-being and blessing or for a curse, according to the word of the Lord of spirits, and word that all the secrets of the lights and lightnings were shown to me, and they lighten for blessings and for satisfying explanation. This is Enoch seeing the cataclysm starting February 5th forward, 2025 AD. The seekers of thunder and lightning were the meteors and asteroids streaking through the atmosphere, causing noise and lights. Can meteors make a sound? Scientist says yes. The 0.3 South cataclysm is called the solids cataclysm because it destroys persons and things by using solid objects like parts of earth, stone, rocks, asteroids, comets, meteors, volcanoes, earthquakes, fire and brimstones, man-made objects, solid objects picked up by tornadoes and other storms, etc. Let it be remembered always and let it be known. Nature Book 3, PDF, page 96. Revelation 9:18. By these three was the third part of men killed, by the fire and by the smoke and by the brimstone which issue out of their mouths. Let's define what brimstone is used in the context of the Bible and then science. We all know what fire is, but what is brimstone? Why did God use them to execute his righteous judgment on sin? What are the effects of their use? The phrase fire and brimstone in the minds of most people is usually linked to the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah. Then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities and all the plain and all the inhabitants of the cities, and that which grew upon the ground. Genesis 19:24-25. Many have also heard the term fire and brimstone linked to an especially energetic sermon where the audience is warned that unending torture and an ever-burning hell awaits all those who do not repent. What is it? The word brimstone is recorded 15 times. The King James Bible. The book of Revelation used the word the most with 7 occurrences. Revelation 9:17-18, Revelation 14-10, 19-20, Revelation 20 verse 10, and Revelation 21 verse 8. Brimstone is a 12th century word which literally means burning stone. In the Old Testament, this word is derived from the Hebrew Gafrith, Strong's Hebrew number 1614, which refers to cypress, resin, or sulfur. In the New Testament, it comes from Greek theon, which also references sulfur. Sulfur is the 10th most common element by mass in the universe and the 5th most common element on Earth. It is found in regions with volcanic activity and, not surprisingly, in the Valley of the Dead Sea. Effects brimstone like fire can kill. This is likely why both of them are chief ingredients in the lake of fire mentioned in Revelation chapter 14:10, chapter 19:20, chapter 20 verse 10, and 21 verse 8. When sulfur burns in the air, it produces sulfur dioxide, a toxic gas, which can cause life-threatening breathing difficulties within minutes. When sulfur dioxide mixes with water, it produces sulfuric acid, a highly corrosive liquid which can cause chemical burns. The fire and brimstone miraculous rained upon the cities of the plain were aided in the destructive powers by igniting pockets of bitumen found in the area. See Genesis 14:10. Additionally, brimstone like fire can cleanse. According to Thayer's Greek definitions, burning it was believed to possess purifying abilities and was utilized to ward off disease. Together they acted to sterilize the land and render it unusable for a period of time. Deuteronomy 29:23. sulfur composition of Macoun meteorites. Meteorites contain a wide variety of sulfur species, sulfates, sulfides, organic sulfur, and elemental sulfur. Sulfur in meteorites is thought to be in a form that resembles the sulfur on Earth before the formation of the hydrosphere. Thus, through investigation of the composition of these meteorites, insight can be gained regarding the formation of the Earth and consequently the formation of life. The goal of this project was to perfect wet chemistry techniques to differentially extract the sulfur species to determine the relative masses of the different species. Multiple extraction with different solvents were used to separate the species based on their chemical and physical properties. Although all the species contain sulfur, the properties of them vary immensely. Then wait you for the day when the sky will bring forth a visible smoke covering the people. This will be a painful torment. Holy Qumran 44, chapter 44, verse 10 through 11. All right. This is referencing two things. If you watch some of my old Enoch videos, this is dealing with smoke coming from volcanoes, but also meteorites. NASA studies meteor smoke trails. The meteors not only flare with light, but they leave behind smoke trails. And there are a lot of bits of dust that burn up. And we don't see the bright flash of light. Again, space rocks all day, every day. NASA has been using a neat instrument called the Solar Occultation for Ice Experiment, or SOFI, aboard a satellite since 2007 to collect data on all the smoke generated by these tiny rocks. Over a decade, scientists analyzed that data to figure out just what all the dust was composed of and how much hits Earth every day. They found that much of that cosmic dust is iron-rich alkaline, and about 25 tons of it make it to the Earth every day. Additionally, smoke from these impacts may be a big reason for those pretty noctilucent clouds people take pictures of. The smoke provides tiny grains of dust that ice crystallizes on, and then voila, thin, wispy, and very reflective clouds are created. Chapter 72. The book of the courses of the luminaries of the heaven, the relation of each according to their classes, their dominion and their seasons, according to their names and places of origin, and according to their months, which Uriel, the holy angel who was with me, who is their guide, showed me, and he showed me all their laws exactly as they are, and how it is with regards to all the years of the world and unto eternity. All the new creation is accomplished, which doeth all eternity. Explanation. This is going into astronomy, and the new creation is in reference to the pygmy gods and goddesses, and the top half that will appear 17,999,938 years from now, which is 12/27/24 of this writing. And this is the first law of the luminaries. The luminary of the sun has its rising in the eastern portals of the heaven and its setting in the western portals of the heaven. Explanation. The portals are the 12 zodiac houses. All right. And I saw 6 portals in which the sun rises and 6 portals in which the sun sets. End quote. Explanation. This was answered in number 2. 6 portals plus 6 portals equals 12. Science has confirmed that our sun appears to rise from Earth. Why does the sun rise in the east and set in the west? The daily spectacle of sunrise and sunset with its breathtaking colors and shifting shadows has captivated humanity, for millennia. But have you ever stopped to consider the science behind this seemingly simple phenomenon? The truth is, the sun's daily journey across the sky is not due to the sun itself moving, but rather a result of our own planet's motion. And the moon rises and sets in these portals. Explanation. Does the moon rise in the east? You may be surprised to learn that more often than not, the moon rises in the east and sets in the west. However, depending on the phase of the moon and the time of the year, the rising might actually occur in the east northeast or east southeast, and the setting might take place in the west northwest or west southwest. When the moon is full, it rises close to due east and sets close to due west on these dates nearest the vernal and fall equinoxes. In fact, when the moon is full, it's nearly opposite the setting sun. As you watch the sun set turning around, you'll find the full moon rising, end quote. The moon also travels through the zodiac as well. And the leaders of the stars and those whom they lead, 6 in the east and 6 in the west, and all following each other in accurately corresponding order. Also many windows to the right and left of these portals, end quote. Explanation: the 6 in the east and the 6 in the west is the 12 zodiac houses. If you count from Capricorn, the bladder, to Gemini, the flesh, is 6 signs. From Cancer, the lungs, to Sagittarius, the stomach, are 6, equaling 12. So the leaders is another term for the zodiac houses. And the sun leads the planets. As spoken of before, this is the sun and planets moving through the elliptical plane and the 12 constellations. The elliptical plane is the imaginary plane that contains the Earth's orbit around the sun. It is also the path that the sun appears to take across the sky over the course of a year. Most planets in the solar system orbit the sun in a similar plane, end quote. All right, so this showing you how the sun moves and what they call the ecliptic itself. And it goes through the celestial equator, the winter, and that the Earth is on a 23.5 degree axis. All right. So when it's moved, that's why things appears to rise and set like this, because of the way the Earth is tilted. So that's where you get your rise and your sunrise and your sunset and things like that. And first there goes forth the great luminary named the sun, and his circumference is like the circumference of the heaven, and he is quite filled with the illuminating and heating fire. The chariot on which he ascends, the wind drives, and the sun goes down from the heaven and returns through the north in order to reach the east, end quote. Explanation: the north is Sagittarius and Capricorn going through the east, which sits between Pisces and Aries. So if you take this into the north, south, east, and west, this is what it's talking about. See, the sun goes down from the heaven, returns through the north in order to reach the east. So this is the north. This is the east. And it's so guided that he comes to the appropriate portal and shines in the face of the heaven. In this way, he rises in the first month in the great portal, which is the fourth of those 6 portals in the east. And in that fourth portal, from which the sun rises in the first month, are 12 windows openings, from which proceed a flame in which they are open in their season. Explanation: Aries, the bone marrow constellation, is the 4th zodiac, counting from Capricorn, and also part of the 6 zodiac signs before the Gemini flesh constellation. The month the sun Ripu rises is the Aries bone marrow, because Aries, the bones, including the skull and the marrow, are the start of the universe and human beings as well. This is why Ephraim showed the zodiac and zodiac with the Aries constellation sitting across from the bone marrow. Introduction to the Nature, book 3, page 50 of the PDF. So you see, Aries, bone marrow. As you go down, it tells you what their true form is. Taurus is skeleton. Gemini is flesh. Cancer is lungs. Leo is the heart. Virgo is the brain. Libra is the liver. Scorpio is the kidney. Sagittarius is the stomach. Capricorn is the bladder. Aquarius is the intestines. Pisces is the genitals. But most mankind don't know about it. This is information that our ancestors knew. And over time, they just changed it into what y'all see today in different places. Here are some of the similarities between a universe and how a human being are grown, called creation and religion. Okay, so you have the anus or the rectum, right? And this is a side view, and this is a view from the bottom, because scientists say that when human beings start being born, the first thing they start being born is the anus. To the right, in the nature book, is the gestation of a universe, not an anus. So, but what I did was just pull and show you some similarities. All right. One over here, you see how it's made, and it's a hole. When the brain newts started creating or growing a universe, they poke a hole in the middle of the chaotic matter and start twisting it. So you see the arrow is going counterclockwise, and the brain newts or nine ether start filling the hole up with nine ether chaotic matter. So it's similar, even though these two are different in the way things come about. All right, and it's on the nine, because this is how nine ether starts creating in the chaos. It's forming something. Nerve cells located in the brain. So this is how it looks, the neuron anatomy and all of that. Here is the brain, which is this. As it gets bigger and then it starts rotating, it starts getting smaller, and you see these little, it spins off other suns and they spin off and it sends off these lightning. But you can see these look like tentacles, the same as these look like tentacles. All right, and it says the alpha nebula of the universe. All right, now we have the brain. This is parts of the brain. So once you go over here, we start, remember, I'm showing you how a human being is formed, and it's actually in the form of the universe, which is a being itself. All right, so when you look at this, this is showing you it fits with the brain. All right. In the Virgo, or the brain constellation, is a sun called the Spica star. Spica is Latin meaning ear of grain. So now, if you go back up here, just for the practices, you go to see Virgo, and the cross from the Virgo is the brain. This is why we're saying that. All of this fits. Just like an ancestors knew, as above, so below, so above. So when you start talking about being the image and likeness, they took it and changed it for religion and say that man is in the image and likeness of God. But when you realize that a universe is the biggest being it is. All right. The pineal gland, which resides in the brain, is about the same size of a kernel of corn, which is defined as grain. When you compare grain to the size of the pineal gland, are quite similar. All right, so here, this is where the pineal gland resides, and you can see the grain is about the same size. All right, they did a lot of hiding to confuse people and make you think that it's other than a being, and that's why they have to play astrology and astronomy down in such a way, because the information been misconstrued. So people, don't think that it really is a function of a greater being and that we're just smaller parts of it. Another brain star is found in the Andromeda constellation called the Alpha star. Notice both constellations basically have the same formation. All right, so again, once you break the spell, which the nature books does that, and sound right reason in general helps you get away from the human or animal figure that they imposed upon us with us not knowing, so you don't have your guards up and we just accept this stuff because a lot of us don't even care, because you're like, there's something that went on, and you just go on about your business. But if you break away from that and look at the stars function in each one, and also the shape, you're able to see that. So if you tilt this a little bit, the bottom part look like this. They're not going to be identical, but you will be able to see it if you got right knowledge. All right, so here both contain blue subgiant stars, Spica A, Spica B, and then you have the Alpha star. all right? They all pretty much do the same thing. When you look at it from the way they color code the stars and put them in groups according to heat, that'll help you be able to go into any of these stars, these constellations, and find them similar to the ones in the 12 that we know. Alpharex is Arabic, meaning the horse's navel. It represents the mythological princess head. This is where the brain resides, in the head. The brightest star of the constellation is Alpharex, a second magnitude double star of white and purplish color located in the head. It is a very fortunate influence and is renowned for attributing honor, harmony, popularity, and wealth. The name is derived from an Arabic phrase meaning the horse's navel, from a time in early Arabian astronomy when it was associated with the constellation Pegasus, and later Arabian astronomy taken from Ptolemy was known as the head of the woman in chains, or more simply as Andromeda's head by Lilly and his contemporaries. Once again, Ptolemy took information that we had already laid down in Kemet before the Phoenician, aka Arabs, who was there, who invaded Kemet 3000 BC, and then the Hyksos Jews came in 1,000 years later, 2000 BC, and eventually, as the Phoenician Arabs lost power, and the Jews started moving up in rank and things like that, eventually it became weak enough to where Alexander the Greek came in, and they took over that information, and they took credit for it. All right, so you see us as Noon is breaking down the true purpose and identification of these constellations. You'll see that the later day people of non-African descent and didn't know about this information all follow the deception of thinking that these are symbolic of animals and people and stuff, and that's not the case. All right, so this is a drama. Like I said, we was all given these different images, and we just went with it. We didn't have no brain power up against it. We just went with it. All right, now we're dealing with the spine. It's the spine of a human being. This is the spine of this universe called the Big Dipper and Little Dipper. So when you look at them in this form, you know that the spine has certain vertebrae that brings oxygen to the brain, and this is what the Jed pillar really represents in ancient times. All right, so the vertebral arteries run through the spine, takes red oxygenated blood to the brain. The Big Dipper, VY Canis Majoris star, the Little Dipper, Ursa Minoris, or Ursa Minor, and the H1504 plus 65 both produce oxygen as well. These are oxygen-producing stars. All right? They're producing oxygen for the help of the universe. It's not producing oxygen for planets like Earth, because the planet itself has these things already in it. These stars are emanating this stuff into the atmosphere of the universe herself. All right, so these are the type of stars that produce oxygen. Just look it up. Another related Big Dipper spine constellation is called the Corvus constellation. When you look at their shapes, you can see it's no coincidence. And Menkar comes from Corvus, the Epsilon Corvus. That's from this constellation. So as you can see, you got the Big Dipper, both of these on this side, and then this one, you break away from the shape. You can see it. Like I said, once you get away from believing the image of a big bear, a little bear, and a scorpion and a crab and all that stuff, and you look at it scientifically based upon the evidence, because we got Noon, so Noon helps us understand this directly, and that everything came later. All right, so with evolution, so The same kind of star or stars that operate over here is the same one that operates over here, as well as you can see the shape. All right? The same way both dippers are associated with the water, so does the mythology that accompanies the word Corvus. Let's read. The constellation Corvus, which means crow in Latin, is associated with several myths in Greek mythology, Apollo and the crow. In one myth, Apollo sent a white crow to spy on his lover Coronis, who was having an affair with a mortal man. The crow returned with the news, and Apollo punished Coronis and Ischys. Another version of the myth, Apollo was so angry with the crow for being slow to deliver the message that he turned his feathers black and condemned it to eternal thirst. Apollo and the crow, cup and snake. In another myth, Apollo sent the crow to fetch water, and he cut for a sacrifice. The crow stopped to eat figs and returned with a snake, blaming it for blocking the spring. Apollo threw the crow, the cup, and the snake into the sky, where the cup is always out of reach of the crow. End quotes. As you can see, all these stories deal with water. All right, here's another body part, the heart. All right, the heart of our universe is the Leo constellation. So when you look at the way the Leo constellation is laced, it fits right into like the heart. And the fact that there's a red star, just like the heart is red, is the color red, like the heart. Middle and ancient cultures stood for love according to my research. All right? So when you look at it, you have to, again, break away from the animal part. That's what the zodiac did. When 6 ether came, it started changing the perception of person, places, and things. So we know that the universes are the biggest beings that exist, and they have body parts. And that's what this whole thing is about. All right? This is what the nature books talk about. All right, so you got Leo right here, or middle star. We begin our deep sky adventure in Leo with the ruby red middle variable R Leonis, which is currently at maximum light. Another similar Leo constellation is the Aquila, meaning eagle constellation. It has 2 red stars in it called R Aquilae and the Z Aquilae clump star. These are mirror type stars, meaning red. And I think the temperature for red stars is like 3,000 Kelvin, 3,200. It's not that high. Red stars like I think the lowest burning temperature from like red all the way to white, light blue, and things like that. All right, so you look down here, once again, you flip this over to this right, you see the hook, and the 2 ways to find out if they're similar is you just look for the shape. It don't have to be exact. And then look for the stars. Listen to Sound Right Reason. There are more body parts outside of the 12 zodiac body parts, signs that this writer did not add. According to mankind, there are 88 constellations in this universal body who's headed by the brain called Ui Scuti. Because the universe is the biggest being that exists, it stands to reason that the universe will have multiple body parts. If you divide 88 by 12, you get 7.3 times 10. So this is how many hearts, lungs, and genitals this great universe has. Let's return forward to the Book of Enoch, verse 8. So once again, when you do the math, that means it's 7 hearts, 7 lungs, 7 genitals, 7 brains, etc., etc. Okay. When the sun rises in the heaven, he comes forth through that 4th portal, 30 mornings in succession, and sets accurately in the 4th portal in the west of the heaven. Explanation. This is the portals right here that they saying the sun is traveling through. Even though these is far away, the sun and earth is not really travel through the zodiac because those are star systems of their own, but this is just kind of like the imaginary part of it. The sun spends an average of 30.43 days in each zodiac sign, which is 1/12 of a sidereal year. However, the length of time the sun spends in each sign can vary due to Earth's orbital eccentricity. The sun's stay in each sign can vary from 29.4 days for Capricorn to about 31.4 days for Cancer. Earth's axis, the angle of the Earth axis mean that some signs take longer to rise than others. Stay tuned for more corrected information. True men to come in peace and noon.